guys, Laura with Garden Answer. This is our second video about the OPCOM hydroponic grow box system. In the first video, I unboxed it and put it together. If you want to see it, we will put a link in the description or comment section below. There was really not a whole lot to it. It was really easy to set up. You just kind of like fold the arms up and add a couple pieces and you're done. The only thing that looks different between that video and this one right now is that I did take out these vertical stakes. So if you are growing anything that requires staking, like a tomato or cucumber, you can use the staking system, which I think is brilliant to have in a hydroponic system. There's a metal piece that runs right through the middle here with holes in it. So you run a stake right through the top here and it goes down and sits in one of these 4 little holes down here. So I'm gonna set these aside. I'm just gonna get right into this. The first thing I need to do is add water, and this system holds 4.2 gallons. Big heavy watering can, I'm just gonna add water. And you want to continue adding water until the water indicator level right here shows the water at full capacity. The directions didn't say exactly where to pour the water in, but I assume it's all going into the same reservoir, so I'm just filling it from right here. I can see the little water indicator bubble though, it's starting to move. Okay, so I thought that the float might have to go all the way to the top, but in the guide it just shows it right above the red line. So I think we're just perfect, and it looks like the water is right below the plastic grate, like it almost comes right up to it. So I'm just gonna wipe off all this excess water and move on to the next step. Now I'm gonna turn the system on and make sure all the lights are working and the pump is working before I move on. I can hear the pump and the lights are working, so I think we're good to go. It says to add one of the nutrient solution capsules at this point, and you put it in this hole right here. So open it up. I'm gonna lift out the little filter so it doesn't get all stuck in it. And dump it in. So now I wait 30 minutes, and at the end of 30 minutes, we're gonna check the pH of the water, and then we'll make any adjustments that we need at that time. It's been 30 minutes, so now I need to test the pH of the water before I move on to the next step, and I'm gonna do that using these pH test strips, which came with the system. Now, we did receive this from OPCOM a few months ago, so before it was released, and I believe that the new one comes with a little bit different of a pH tester. It looks a little different, but it does the same thing. So I'm just gonna take one of these little papers and dip it in the water and see what I get. The lower it is, so if it reaches like a deep orange color on this paper, then it means it's really acidic. So we want to shoot for somewhere kind of right in the middle. Dip it in there. You can already see it changing color. It's kind of turning to this celery green color. So on the pH scale here, this color goes right in at a number 7. So pH of 7, which is neutral, I believe. You always want to make sure that your pH is about where you need to be, otherwise you need to make some adjustments, which some pH up and down came with the kit. So there's pH plus and pH minus, so you can add a capsule in depending on if your pH is too high or too low. So if it's too high, you add in a pH down. If it's too low, you can add a pH up. Also, it says to keep checking the water indicator level, and that way you make sure your water reservoir is high, because you don't want it to get too low, 1, for the plant's health, and 2, you don't want to wear your pump out. So, next step. I'll take one of these grow sponges, and I need to get them wet before I put them in their cells. I'm planning on planting up about 25. That's what the guide recommended if you're doing lettuce in particular. That way you make sure that they have room to grow and mature. I'm planning on doing mostly lettuce and a little bit of basil, so I'm gonna stick with the 25 cells. So I'm just gonna pop some of these off. So you can see right here, there's like little separations there, and you can easily pull them apart. And this is called the nursery up here. I'm gonna get these nice and saturated. I'm just pushing the sponge down in there. You wanna start with the sponges being nice and wet. I'm gonna wring it out just a little bit. And now you wanna separate your sponges. So see, they're like 1 inch by 1 inch right here. Oh, I should mention, I got into some paint that I cannot get off. I was painting something at work, so like I'm not sick, I'm not hurt. This is just paint. You'll notice on each one of these sponges there's a little cut in the top and the bottom, and you'll want to make sure one of those is facing up, because that's where you put your seeds. So I'm just going to kind of divide up the space with these 25 cells, and you want to just make sure that you're putting the sponges right to the top level of the water. You don't want them really far down in there. You just want the water to barely touch the bottom. All right, I feel like I have them pretty well distributed in the spaces here. So the next thing you need to do is wipe your hands completely off, because I'm gonna be using the lettuce seeds that they sent. and they're in these capsules that disintegrate with moisture, so you want to make sure you're not touching them with wet hands. So what I'm going to do is plant some of these, and then also I've got some sweet basil, Genovese sweet basil here, and then I think I'm going to go with this outrageous romaine, this red lettuce, because this is a green. So we'll have a green and a red and some sweet basil. So I'll start with these capsules here. So let me show you what they look like. They're really little. There's several seeds in each capsule. So you take your capsule and then you use a pair of tweezers to hold your sponge in place, because you have to put a little pressure on these to get them in the little slit in the sponge, and you don't want to push that sponge down in the reservoir. So we're going to hold on to it with the tweezers right here, and then we're just going to gently push that lettuce seed capsule in, just like that. And for the seeds that don't have a capsule, I'm going to use the tweezers and put it in the sponge. I think this will work out, and kind of open it up and drop the seeds in. That worked perfect. So I'm going to plant probably 5 of the cells with basil and the rest with lettuce. Planting is all done, and what I decided to do was these back 2 rows are basil. This middle row is the red romaine lettuce, and then the front row is the green lettuce that's in capsules. And in 30 minutes, I'll be able to come in with my tweezers, and I'll be able to pop the top of that capsule right off, because the bottom will have disintegrated in that time, and it will have left the seeds right where they need to be, and the top of the capsule will just come right off. That way it doesn't impede the growth. So now what I'm going to do is fill the rest of the cells with the extra sponges. I'll probably have to use a few more of these over here as well. I'm going to cover all of those as well as the whole nursery area, because we don't want any light to reach the water reservoir, because that's what will start algae, and we want to prevent that. So here we go. Planting is all done, so now I'm going to leave the system on off for 2 days and let the seeds germinate. And at the end of 48 hours, I will turn it on auto, and that will control the lights and the pump. And I'll probably at that point move my lights down if there's any green showing, because I want the plants to be healthy right from the get-go. I don't want them to start to stretch from the very beginning. So I do plan on updating you guys throughout this whole process, so you can see how everything's growing, how it's looking, and when I'm able to harvest, how long it took. I'm really excited because it's starting to get really cold outside, and I'm not really able to grow much at all. So I did start with easy crops in the beginning. So I've got 2 different kinds of lettuce and the basil. And I hope that if this works out, that I can graduate to something a little bit more difficult. I would love to grow tomatoes inside in the wintertime. I did bring some of those seeds home to try after this experiment is done. So really excited for it. Make sure you're following us. Subscribe down below so you can see all of the updates that we do. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, before we go, I did promise that we would announce the winner of the system in this video. So how we did it was we gathered all the comments from the last video and put them in a random comment picker, and then hit the select winner button, and it was Nancy Tucker. So congratulations, Nancy. So make sure to check your messages, because you will probably find one from us there this morning. And thank you everybody else for participating and commenting. It was a really fun contest. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.